Hello and welcome back to another episode of Boys Gone Wild. This is Boys Gone Ill.
Boys Gone Ill. Boys Gone
Ill. But what's the best way to do the ill special?
Illest motherfuckers alive.
There we go. Got it. Illest motherfuckers alive. There is a cold about. Not COVID. We've all had COVID and
we tested. It's been a big old nego.
But there's a nasty cold going around that a lot of people seem to be getting, and it's been passed into a house through our housemate Adam to Taha, then to you, and then to me.
Yeah, me and Taha were trying to work out who was first, but we don't know.
But it's interesting that because we all have the same sickness. That's hence why we thought aesthetically we'd dress this as the ill special. As you can hear, because I'm actually listening on headphones, you can hear just a slightly heavier breath from Andrew when he's not speaking. Normally,
that's disgusting.
Because I'm never listening, and now I could just hear it all. And now I put myself in the seat of the listener, and I feel sick.
Yeah, I hate. That's one of my. I can't regulate my breathing now. I haven't breathed in a lot. I'm trying to talk without it. It's quite comically spread through our house.
Yeah.
Because you know when you were young and your mum might get a cold, and it wasn't a guarantee that you'd get a cold.
Yeah.
And the reason being because we had well sanitized houses when we lived at home. Brexit. Brexit might be the key reason for our illness.
The regulations.
But just how hilarious.
I'm pretty hands-on, but sometimes it works.
Yeah. Well, it was just how hilarious it spread throughout the house. Of just Alan came back with a cold. And within a few days, it was Taha and then me and then you.
Yeah, well, I got a slightly scratchy throat. That's where I'm at. And I'm like, it's not a quinky dink, as I like to put it.
Well,
so I've got a scratchy throat, and I know that it's coming, and I can see day by day where everyone's at. Yeah. Adam's out of the clear. Taha's just past the worst of it. And now you're at the worst of it, pretty much.
I was at the worst of it yesterday.
So I just know it's probably coming.
It's been longer, this illness, than expected.
Well, it's a bad one.
A common cold. Yeah, it's not. Usually, I get ill a fair amount because of my unhealthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
But usually I'm bad at getting them, but then I'll shake them off pretty quickly. This one isn't going away yet. It's still there's still a lot of blanket.
Do you think we have high tolerance because we're so a friend of the pod, Hugo, was really scared of germs and he used to always get ill. It's because he was just never.
Well, you got to dispose yourself to the germs.
Exactly.
Expose yourself.
So it's a balance to play. But you're feeling how was your sick day? You've been working and
I've watched all of the Oceans films.
Yes, well, they're Netflix, which are the good films.
You know I love the Oceans films.
They're great.
I think they're my biggest comfort film in the world, actually.
I think so. I think from start to finish, it's like
I love it.
It's the conflict's perfect.
Yeah, they really lose it a bit in Oceans 12. I don't want to talk about Oceans 12. I just want to talk about Oceans 11 and 13.
13,
please.
yeah, 13's fucking good.
13's well, the 11 is like 3 times better than all of them.
Yeah.
Come on, let's be fucking honest here.
But also
13,
Don Cheadle's British accent is just it's like something. There's so much money.
It's beyond belief.
What else? Hang on. Are you accusing me of booby trapping? Hey, is Danny about?
Yeah, he's waiting around the corner.
Oh, it's terrific. It'll be nice working with proper villains again.
Just when you first... And his name's... It's a bouncer. Yeah, it's like bouncer.
Yeah, or something.
Or Bruiser or something.
Bruiser, yeah. Bruiser.
And it's just... it was literally like, you're only meant to blow the bloody doors off. It's like he's doing that impression terribly.
But then, surely there was backlash at the first film. When he comes back for the next one, and it's just the way that whenever he opens his mouth, it's worse than you remember it being. And you're never ready for how bad it is. And you're never ready.
I've had a lot of time to think about this over the last 2 days.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, one, you don't want to lose Don Cheadle from the film because he does bring Basher, I think it's Basher.
I don't know. I think I'm ready to lose Don Cheadle.
No. Well, then you're not a true Oceans fan because he brings something very particular. It's
I feel you could replace him with someone or.
Now, also a question about the Oceans film I have relates to the acting of Don Cheadle, the theoretical acting of Don Cheadle. Is there 12 of them in 12 and 13 of them in 13?
That's the concept.
Yeah, but they don't make a big deal out of like, we brought in this one person.
Well, they did. No, 12. Julia Roberts is the 12. The wife.
So. I guess so. Who's the 13th?
13th is fucking...
I mean, it's a tough question given that I watched it about 2 hours ago. I haven't been taking a lot of it in.
Ocean's 8. Did you go online and be misogynistic because you're so upset?
You know what? I'm not a member of... I'm a member of both Ocean film fans and misogynist Reddit forums. So it was my dream when they came in together.
You must have flipped a lid.
No, it's just a crack of shit. It's a crock of garbage. It's horrible. It's a bad film. And now Ocean's 12 is a bad film, but they're still sticking to some of the key tenets. Like, what we live for is the wry, quick-witted, snappy conversations between Danny Ocean and
Rusty. It's what Americans get a lot of shit for lots of things. They just do heist films the best. It's more in their blood, it just works. And having Matt Damon, Brad Pitt and George Clooney in the same room.
Clooney and Pitt, by my God. It's lovely to watch them together. Yeah. They're reuniting for a film soon. However, the whole, they're quick-witted, where they kind of finish each other's sentences.
Yeah, sandwiches.
Very good. It does go to the point of ridiculousness when they're talking to each other about relationships. Rusty explains what happened, and Danny goes, and he goes, yeah. Rusty goes, yeah, relationships can be like, and Danny goes, yeah, but they could also be like, yeah. And it's like, oh, you're taking it too far. Then you're taking it. That is the only disappointing moment in the entirety of the Ocean's trilogy.
But as far as heist films go, great. And
it's the only heist film. Look, I looked them up online actually.
Yeah.
And it's the only true. It's so genre defining.
Yeah.
That the only way to do a heist film is to do a reboot.
Yeah, I guess so.
The rest are like, oh well, it's not really a heist, is it?
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it was all building up to Oceans and it's all trying to recapture Oceans, all heist?
I don't believe you could call anything that happened pre-Oceans a heist film.
Okay, so now the problem is, which is a fair point, the problem with the Oceans films is that
I don't want to hear it. They've been keeping me going for the last 2 days.
I'm just saying, if you're going to remake it, and they tried it with the female Oceans, it clearly didn't work, but it is very white, straight, like, and there's a period, it is very like... sort of Cockney, Gen X male fantasy, like the Hugo Boss sort of suit, the sort of style, the sunglasses, the locations, the girl. It's very like straight man who's just who now knows about wine. He's not. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not as straight as men were when they were cutting down trees.
Yeah,
but. They've become metropolitan, but still hold on to all of their manliness.
It's funny you say
they
that.
now iron their shirts.
Well, hold on. In one of the films, Rusty catches Danny, who walks in on his hotel room, and Danny has got tears in his eyes
because he's watching
because he's having a bottle of wine and watching Oprah.
Exactly, and that's this like
metrosexuality.
So obviously, when you see Matt Damon, George Clooney, and Brad Pitt all in a room,
often do, yes.
Yeah, it feels because of the dialogue we're having in our culture. It does feel like, wow, that is quite white. Sometimes when I see it, I'm like, wow, that is a lot of.
There's a lot of white.
That's just like a lot of white straight. Because normally now, which is a good thing, normally you have it offset with like, all right, one of them's clearly gay.
Yeah, that's true.
One of them's clearly gay, even though I'm not convinced by George Clooney, but still presenting as straight.
He's a bit like, I think we've said this before. He's a bit like, maybe we haven't. He's a bit like our old teacher, Mr.
Yeah. Well, my mum has this. One of her weird things is that she lives and dies by a couple of celebrity trivias. And one of them, she will not accept that George Clooney isn't gay.
Okay.
And she says she's got it on good authority and never reveals. She's convinced that George Clooney, and says it with complete sincerity, has a house in Lake Como where he goes and has gay sex parties.
He's
like, she's like, trust me. Trust me.
Well, how does she get this information?
She protects her sources.
Number one rule of journalism.
Okay, but my point was, you now need to remake Oceans, and you've got to make it more representative. And how do you make it good?
Right, because I think part of when the diversity issues existed in the early 2000s when the Ocean films were made, but they didn't exist as pertinently as they do now. So what they would do... Look, I'm building up, Craig.
Sorry.
Look, my mind is working at about half the speed it usually does. So let me finish. So what they do, what early 2000 films often do, is they just make one character that's like the diversity quota, and in this it's Basher. He's
and
a black Cockney man,
he's ridiculous.
And he's obscene. Often you see, because when you see in these kind of films, they'll be like, right, we'll have one character.
Black dude. The fat black dude.
Well, they'll be black, and they'll either be gay or disabled or fat.
Yes,
that's what they do.
They get both.
They just get them all in one. They don't want to. They don't want to take up too many characters.
Like Matt, Brad Pitt, and George Clooney are all.
Yeah. I want the rest of them. Not just 3 of them. It's literally 10 out of the 11 are straight white guys. So they just put one who is different.
Yeah.
And for that, it has to be. For some reason, they chose Cockney, and he can't even do it.
Yeah, so maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe we go back. So we do, if it's Ocean's 14, you do 13 straight white guys, and then you have one black lesbian, disabled, dwarf, wheelchair bound, and you just do.
Well, it's not.
And you're like,
that's how they did it.
And Asian.
If you
just
look, there's so many
one.
films like that where they just instead of we need to check the minority box. We can't do that with more than one character. So it's like you have
not when you've got an ensemble cast.
Exactly. It can't be too diverse. So what they do is instead of doing a multiple checklist of characters, they just do a multiple checklist of minorities.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, I've forgotten what it was.
I can tell from the first point that you didn't quite know where it was going. You're building up, but you're going to forget because it's going to take ages to
I
build.
did just want to make that point. And I kind of disregarded the question.
Yeah.
So
you need to remake the Ocean's films. They need to be rebooted. There's no
They're
choice.
Perfect the way
There's
they
no choice. Gun against your head, all right?
And
or else, that's the only way you're going to steal. You've stolen.
I'd say, Gunman, you've come to the right person. Continue.
You're going to have to remake them.
Yeah.
But they need to be modern. You can't just do these films anymore.
Yeah.
It's not, it's problematic. So how are you remaking them?
Well, they've already
Should we start with Ocean's 4? Oh, how about Ocean's 58?
Ocean's...
There's 58 of them.
There's 58 of them.
And they're all gay black dudes.
All of them gay. All of them black. All of them black. All inspired by a common goal.
Yeah.
Which is to rob...
well, first thing we talk about the diversity.
Well, that's sorted.
So 58 gay black dudes.
Yeah, who's going to complain about diversity there?
I feel I didn't really get to know any of the characters seeing as there was 58 of them.
Well, you wanted more black representation on screen, didn't you? There's 58 of them in our film.
Did they all have to be gay black dudes?
Yeah. You wanted more gay representation on screen.
Can't they be slightly different? They can show different sides to the black experience.
I'm confused as to what you want. Did you not want 58? Did you not want a lot of black/gay characters on screen? Because we've got 58 of them. And then that
Any Asian representation, one at a time.
So that Rick and Morty parody of heist films.
Yeah, and sadly they've
son of a bitch.
Yeah, they just smashed it.
They did smash it, but. What I'd think, it'll be an inspiration from that, but because there's so many characters, all it would be is the main character going around and recruiting every single one of the 58 members to the heist, and you never see the heist. Because for that, you've got to tune into Ocean's 59. Get people coming back to the cinema.
Bums on seats.
Bums on seats.
Money in pocket.
Bums on seats. $1 in pocket.
Great. Did you manage to catch the Chappelle special?
David Chapelle.
Special.
I saw the David Chapelle special.
So we're gonna.
What do we think?
I thought it was fucking shit.
It wasn't good.
I thought it was really bad.
It wasn't funny.
I thought it was really offensive. I got quite offended.
I say this. I think you are too.
I love Chappelle. He's one of the best of all time.
The GOAT.
Yeah, as he so often puts it.
So disappointing when he puts it. But he can do it once or twice a show, not 6 times. He did it more than 5 times that show. He started off. It was the bit. So he starts off talking about the fact he had COVID, and that was like the kind of.
It was a very weird opening that didn't punch out. He reached the first proper joke, which was and he should have opened with that. About 10 minutes in, it was like a weird meandering start to a special, which was like...
What I felt is he didn't actually have loads of material because he did a lot of pauses for applause. I know he gets loads of applause anyway, but there was some engineered applauses in there.
And it was like, so Dave Chapelle, he did 2 amazing specials, maybe 1, before he left disappeared for 13 years. Iconic specials, amazing. Then he came back, did 4 specials, 2 of them incredible, 2 of them pretty good. And then Sticks and Stones wasn't great, the 5th one.
Which is the one... Yes, I remember Sticks and Stones.
Sticks and Stones is when...
Equanimity and the Bird.
No, those were amazing.
Was that the one where he was sitting on
sitting down in the...
That was nuts,
that was incredible, and that was peak Chappelle. And then you could see it happening that he started with Sticks and Stones. He released the half-an-hour special about George Floyd with no jokes in it, which I thought was just... I know it was a powerful... and interesting.
I never saw that, actually.
He released a half-an-hour thing where he just talked about George Floyd. And then he released a 20-minute thing where he complained again about not having more money for Chappelle's show.
Oh, I remember that. That didn't go down well.
I mean, the storytelling in it was fantastic. But
entertaining, but not comedy.
Yeah, and then, so he did that, and it seemed like he was going on this thing which always... He just about pulled it off because he was so funny and because he'd been through so much. But now he's accepted by so many people. Like when he came back, he had to prove himself again.
Yeah.
But now he's accepted to go, and the crowd is like he's a preacher.
Yeah.
I find his ego quite unlikable. It's a lot.
I like it.
Okay.
Not on this special though.
Yeah.
Because
it was always building up, and he does mic drops at the end of every show, and I'm I just don't think comedians should ever do a sincere mic drop. I don't care. I like
his persona though.
Yeah.
I do like it, and I think it often works. I just think it didn't work. It needs to work if you're banging jokes.
Yeah.
And usually he bangs jokes. Yeah. And he just didn't this
well, he's got 6 specials.
And was pretty actively offensive.
6 specials in about 5 years, maybe 6 years. And that is the problem, is that it takes longer to get a good special out.
Yeah.
And so it was half cooked. Like often when you see specials, it'll take people 10 years.
It was half cooked, you're right.
It was just a half cooked special. But it was also not only that, but it felt like
this isn't a steak. It's a piece of chicken. You've got to cook it through all the way.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you'll get food poisoning.
And I felt like I was getting food poisoning from the special.
Maybe that's why I'm ill.
Maybe from watching Chappelle's
half
cooked special. But yeah, and it felt like it was.
Oh, just take me home. I am home. You are home, Andrew. Thank you. Transmission. Yeah, it felt like
it felt like it was very lame boomer style takes, and none of his arguments were any good. Like normally they're like quite interesting, makes you think, and even if I don't agree with them, I'm like, but they were fucking dumb as shit.
Yeah,
nearly all of them.
Yeah,
he was justifying his pretty much everything. He'd say something transphobic and say, "Yeah, but I'm black." And it's like, okay, yeah.
It doesn't
and he's like,
he
even said it was, I'm pissed off because it was easier for, how was it easier for Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner to change her gender to Caitlyn Jenner, than
Cassius Clay to change his name?
Yeah, because that's 50 years apart.
Those are slightly different time frames.
It was like, Muhammad Ali was during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Imagine a celebrity changing genders then. It would have been equally as mental.
It would have been tough.
And now, imagine a boxer changing the name. It would have been fine.
The problem is...
That's not a point.
Because I think that's why his usual persona works, because he usually makes points like that and then pauses and looks, and he looks very happy with himself at the point. When the point is shit... You just look like a maniac, just standing there going.
And he did one thing that really irked me.
You don't get. I don't get
irked. I don't irk easy.
He doesn't irk easy. I think I've only irked you maybe 3 or 4 times.
Maybe if that.
If that.
He did one where he talked about, I think, setting up a fund for the trans women, or like the trust fund for the kid. And then he paused, and there wasn't a clap, and then he waited, and then someone.
That's what I'm saying about engineered applause.
And then he just like forced this applause.
Yeah, and then went, yeah. That was...
It's like, come on, dude. Really, it's fucking lame as shit.
Because he seemed to go out there on the defensive. In the whole special was about... He's about going out and speaking truths to power and everything.
And then he just started like bodying the trans community.
He basically was like, why are you guys so mean to me? And then kicked him in the face. It didn't really, and the point...
It made no sense. And just like, the trans community, just like, fucking leave him alone.
Leave him alone.
Give him a break.
Well, because I saw Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, well, that's,
on...
It seems like similar levels of
Just
decay.
Do a different joke.
Just
do something else. Talk about your recent experience in a coffee shop. Talk about how dogs are in a park. Don't just talk about religion and offence.
It's like it's not fucking 2006.
It's not. It's like you're the only ones keeping this in the Discord.
We know.
We're chill, guys.
Also, stand-up covered God. Finished. Carlin, maybe Louis C.K. as well a bit. About 2010, I feel God was finished. It's like comedically, it just been the amount of edgelords who'd come out and said this is why God makes no sense. It just been done every which way.
It's happened.
I've even seen someone on the circuit, a comedian on the circuit, who's come out and started like talking about why God doesn't exist. And it's like, dude, in central London, it's like, who are you fucking?
Who is your audience?
Is that too much for you? Me saying that God might not exist? We're all atheists.
You know what?
Are you talking about?
The worst thing about that kind of comedy. When comedians come out and they'll be like, "Oh, is that too much for you?" And it's like, no, it's just not funny.
It's just not.
I'm not offended. I'm just not laughing.
Let's go. When I hit the gay community right in the AIDS.
Right in the AIDS.
That's what Dave Chapelle said.
Did he?
It's like his jokes punched the gay community right in the AIDS.
Yeah, that's.
He did that thing about here's a sci-fi concept. About aliens coming back to rule out. I'm calling it Space Jews.
Space Jews. That was the opener, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty much the opening actual joke.
And then it's going to get worse. It did get worse, yeah.
It's going to get worse. And it's like...
It's not...
And then that's this annoying thing where it's like you say something that's shock and offensive and then you don't get like a lot and you're like, okay, well, clearly I'm too hot to handle.
That's the thing about comedy being, an interesting battleground for free speech and also the effects of it. Because... when you're going out and saying something for the shock factor, if it's not funny, then immediately you're looking at the jeering of the crowd at that point, and they're loving it. And you wonder what they're going to be taking away from that kind of show. And also, when I was at Ricky Gervais, of course there's some good jokes. Again, they're both masters of their craft.
Yeah.
But there was one point Ricky was doing an AIDS joke.
Of course he was.
Because,
it's like AIDS.
Because he's Ricky Gervais.
When we were like 13, that's like Wikipedia stuff.
It really is. It's not because I was...
Like, I wouldn't mind bringing up Ebola again, because that's like enough times past where that's quite weirdly funny.
Absolutely.
Like, get Ebola back in.
Spanish flu.
Yeah, Spanish flu's funny. That's been long enough that it's really funny.
Exactly. There's not enough
AIDS
Spanish flu.
AIDS is just like, come on.
No, it's lazy. And at one point he said he was playing God.
Yeah.
So he's doing the double whammy of religion and AIDS in this. He's playing God, and he says, I'll just give it to Africa because they're dying anyway. And it elicited a cheer from the person next to me. And I looked around.
Was it your stepdad?
Yeah, it was David. It was David, and I thought, I've got to get the train home with this guy. No, it was a slightly larger woman next to me, who I'll get into more detail with next. But yeah, I kind of looked around at that point, and there was a couple of other cheers at that. I was like, where am I? What? That's because I've taken a lot of drugs at that point. Anyway, hard drugs.
Where am I?
What is this?
And then you realise you're sitting backwards on his seat, facing the back of the room.
The security guards are trying to pull me out.
Straddling the seat.
They're only cheering because they managed to get me out. And I thought, Ricky Gervais, that is not responsible comedy. No, it was. There's some good as well because the large lady, when Ricky goes into his, I'm gonna eat and drink, and I've heard these jokes before from him. Yeah. Which is the disappointing thing about watching Ricky Gervais. It's great to see him in the flesh. I've never seen him in the flesh, and that's an experience. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think many people have affected my comedy more than Ricky Gervais. Yeah. Or like he's just one of the.
Not his stand-up though, is it?
No, but I mean, just in general, him.
Yeah, he's a legend, absolutely.
But they've both got they're both kind of like Gervais is like 10 years down the line. Chappelle's just starting.
I really hope he doesn't go to where Gervais is.
But it feels a little bit like there was a bit of a Mad King Lear vibe around the Chappelle special. Like he's clearly aging. He's been like as you can hear from a lot of the podcasts, he lives hard. Like he loves going out. and I've heard lots of stories, and like all his stories about him, like just like it's always. It's funny that he managed to have all these stories of him, even though it's Dave Chapelle, he's always still like beating up trans people or women or like lesbian. It's like,
well, I was confused by this.
He's still getting into. It's like you're 50 something, and you're still getting into fights with lesbians in bars.
The lesbian story of him, because that broke in the press. I remember thinking, "Oh, come on, Dave." But then, because then he addressed it and said, "Oh, yeah, that wasn't true." Essentially, he did.
And you're like, okay,
good. And then he went on to describe it in detail,
and it was true.
And it was, and I was at the end, I was like, it was a really moment where I was kind of semi laughing along because I thought he was being ironic. At the end, he moved on. I wanted to be like, wait, Dave, did you actually beat up that woman? And I believe he did. On reflection, I believe he did beat up that woman in the club, which.
He seemed, when he did that thing where he was, that Instagram thing where he was like 20 minutes long where he complained about the Chappelle show.
Yeah.
He was clearly half drunk.
Yeah.
It just seems like when he was on the like Joe Rogan, he seemed, and he had aged a lot since that first special in that 5 years.
Yeah.
And there was just a feeling of, it was like this King Lear of him just sort of walking around the stage. Like, and then him saying things that aren't really that are offensive, but they aren't really funny, and then looking around like he's just said something.
Well,
like
that's exactly what
everyone's afraid to say.
It's
it just
exactly
had
what
this
Ricky
bizarre,
does, and I hate humour like that.
And you look at the crowd, and they're like cheering,
they're in ecstasy.
And it's like, what's the problem with like woke comedy specials, the ones that like technically the opposite of Dave Chappelle, is they go for applause breaks and not jokes. It was the exact same. It was literally. It might as well have been Nanette on the others. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And because they're sticking with their niche and they're rolling with it to the point where their audience has become such an entrenched group identity that they just agree the fuck out of them rather than laugh at them. When the agreeing stuff is the worrying part because you don't catch the irony.
Yeah.
Because that's what Ricky Gervais said a lot. Well, he started at the start, he was like, a lot of the jokes will be ironic. If you can't handle that, then, leave. And it's like...
That'd be so funny if, like, the whole crowd left.
Oh, shit, okay.
That would be so... Yeah. What would he do?
The problem is...
That would be amazing. Okay, I'm just going to say there's going to be a lot of offensive jokes tonight. So if you don't like that, you can leave. And everyone's like, okay, we'll be heading off. And then it's just this huge queue as it's like trying to like, right, can everyone form an orderly line, please? Because this is a fire hazard.
We misunderstood what this would be. Yeah.
And he's just standing there like... But there's queues of people just sorry, Ricky, this is our fault. You don't need a refund, this was our mistake.
No, we'll be leaving here free of charge, but enjoy who's left. So more about his, it's like a trigger warning. There's going to be, but it was about the use of irony. There's going to be some irony.
Trigger warning, irony.
As in like, I'm going to be ironic, I'm not being serious, I don't mean what I mean. Most of the time they mean what they mean.
Here's the thing. I like offensive comedy, and though it's become a lot lamer and it's less fun than it used to be because lots of people are doing it in like a really.
And you're also above the age of 15.
Above this. No, but like I like offensive topics. I like you like stuff when it's done well. I like trying to write that kind of stuff. It's the kind of thing from comedians I like things that feel a tiny bit dangerous for people aren't talking about it. But it's like if I do an offensive joke, it feels which I often do. It feels like I try and make it so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's clearly not.
Yeah.
I'm not making a point. And I don't understand. I find it very strange.
That's it.
I find it very strange when people get offended when it's like you're talking
so
about
abstract.
We're talking about paedophiles or whatever, and it's so clearly. The opposite is the case.
You're correct. That's
irony. When you've got Dave Chapelle saying, so I beat up a lesbian woman, this actually happened.
That gender's a fact.
Gender's a fact. It's like, these are...
Where's the irony?
This is just your...
That's the problem. Because they're so outspoken.
It's just your opinion.
Yeah, correct.
And your opinion fucking is offensive.
Exactly. And that's the exact problem I have with it. However, Dave Chapelle did make one good offensive joke.
He made a couple of
one
good
that
ones.
actually did make me laugh out loud by myself. He was talking about looking up the definition of a lesbian in the dictionary. It was like Webster. And then he read out Webster's dictionary of a lesbian, and then said, as someone who believes in equal rights for men and women. I always thought it was just a frumpy lesbian. No,
frumpy bitch.
Frumpy dyke.
Still
that made me laugh because it was just. That's what shocked. It was the way he delivered it and the timing. Because that would also could speak to an ignorance about feminism.
Yeah.
And there's some sort of, because it's so ridiculous. It's the ridiculousness that made me laugh. And you can be offensive whilst by showing that you're being ridiculous and it's definitely not true.
Yeah, it's true. And also, I know a lot of people who've gone to see Dave Chappelle. But
it's speaking to his own issues within himself. But it doesn't really with Dave Chappelle because
he's done his trans jokes. He's done trans jokes basically every special, at every opportunity. He's done jokes about the trans community, and like, I personally do agree with woke people in general when it's like it does feel like a topic that seems very unnecessary most of the time. A couple of the jokes he's done have been interesting, especially the one where he talks about his own feelings when he got with a trans woman. One of his specials talks about it, but it felt like. Nothing he touched here was at all shone a light in any way on anything. I didn't
made me more
and what
confused.
he's good at is like what was amazing about the Bird Revelation, which is top 5 specials ever.
Yeah,
was him talking directly about the Me Too, talking about his feelings about it, and really discussed it in very he just discussed it in a very interesting perspective, right or wrong. It was like what great stand-up does.
Yeah.
And it just felt like there was
seemed
nothing...
revelatory, even if it wasn't like an earth-shattering change of your own personal opinion. Just to hear properly what he has to think about it, which is usually bloody interesting. And this time, we've heard the jokes before, and he was just saying things that were dumb.
Yeah, and then his final line, which was saying something about, which is a thing he kept reiterating, which was, I think his last thing is like, yeah, you might be gay, but I'm black. Basically, is what he said.
Yeah,
and then he threw his mic. That was the final line.
Yeah, one of the final lines as well was, "I'm not going to do any more jokes about the LGBTQ community now."
And he'd also do LNMOP, which is the most done joke.
Yeah.
LGBTQ WRS, whatever it is, the most.
Yeah, it's terrible. He also consistently says it wrong. He does LBGT throughout the whole special. I don't know if that was meant to be a joke.
I don't know.
I don't think it was. But at the end, he's like...
You could be talking about BLTs, maybe.
Maybe the whole thing was about sandwiches.
The BLT community. The bacon, lettuce, tomato community.
Makes a lot of sense, actually. But he was saying at the end, pretty soon before the mic drop, was that he's not going to do any more jokes about the LGBT community until we know we're like laughing with each other. And then I was like, okay, cool. Can we do something else now? It was like the mic drop was great. I'm glad you're going to stop doing jokes about this. Can we see something else? Rather, because it seemed like, well, now you're not going to have these jokes anymore because you can't react well to them.
Yeah.
I was like, great. Stop doing them. Chappelle.
Yeah. And just but it was an interesting thing. All of the stories. He had 3 stories of getting into fight with women. Like physical.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
It's really strange.
It
made me feel really quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then he did another thing, which he keeps doing, which I do think he has to get over, and I think would have been cool. Like it was so fucking cool what he did.
Weeing on stage.
No, when. What? It was so cool what he did when he turned down 30 million from the Chappelle show, walked away, disappeared for 13 years, then came back. That was really cool. That was brave. That was powerful. But then every single special, he's reminded you of it, and complained about it, and just been. It's like he's now done like 7 different things where he's talked about,
and he's kind of used it semi to his advantage in. Well, because he either complains about it or does it as a badge of honor, which I guess you can kind of do both.
He could have done it a bit,
but what he did on this one was that. To be fair, that was actually one of the better bits of it, and where it made more sense was when he was talking about the Me Too thing.
But he did that in the Bird Revelation. He covered that.
Yeah, he did cover.
He said, which was I think it was an interesting thing. You know, walking away with 30 million is a lot easier than walking away from Louis' freckled dick. You know? And that was like, okay, fair enough. You've earned that considering that you've actually done that shit. Fine. Don't use the same argument with the same logic again. You did it worse.
Yeah. Well, disappointing.
Yeah.
2 out of 5.
How did Gervais end his show? Do you remember?
Well, I was too high on drugs. Anything. I was ejected from the auditorium for nudity. No, I can't remember, actually. I really needed a wee.
You've had a tough week.
I've had a tough week. You know when you really need a wee and you stop listening.
So that's how you'd open your big special.
Andrew Cohen wheeled out one of these. That would be interesting, actually.
Yeah, I think it has coincided where like we've had periods in this podcast where we've complained ad nauseum about how shit a lot of television comedy is, woke comedy in general, the Jamila Jamil, the likes, that whole thing, and we've always been on the like the other side of it. But recently, in the last almost 6 months, it's just got so fucking lame on the side of free speech.
Yeah.
That it just feels like I'm once again completely. I'm neither side at all in any way.
Yeah,
because
if that's what it's going to be on that side,
it's fucking lame. It's just as lame as the
Don't sign me.
It's just as lame as the fucking white people suck.
Well, the worst thing, because Ricky Gervais is also, although a legend, completely guilty of the terrible turn in dramedy with Afterlife.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest.
And it's like the worst combination of dead dramedy that is nothing. Nothing. That is
apart
nothing
from occasionally
on the screen.
goes, "You're a cunt."
Apart from occasionally he calls a disabled kid a cunt. I was like, well, that's not funny enough to maintain what's happening on the screen, is it, Rick? It's not. So yeah, I agree. I don't know where we stand anymore. I'm just gonna sit in the middle, in my marsh, my boggy marsh, and slowly sink into the swamp. Bookmarks.
on that note. Bookmark boys.
Bookmark boys.
Bringing all the bookmark toys to the bookmark house.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's a shame.
You're not going to find a synonym for house that rhymes with boys, are you?
What is it?
No, there isn't one.
Oh, I thought you were implying there was
No. It's just a very bold rhyme to set yourself up with.
But more importantly,
Bookmark Boys. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Bookmark Boys. There's a collection of fun, classic, famous characters with their funniest quotes, and then you can use it to mark your book. But you can use them for so much more than just that. For instance,
ironing.
How? Ironing? What? When was the last time you ironed?
I'm an iron.
You have no idea what you do. How? Tell me how you think you could use these for ironing. Just give it a stab.
Well, they're flat.
You're saying an ironing board?
No, I'm saying you've got them on the ironing board.
You could use them
you
if
get
you
them
were
steamed,
ironing,
and then you start rubbing your clothes like that.
If you were ironing clothes for your pet mouse,
yeah,
you could use this as an ironing board.
Do you have a pet mouse?
Fed up of two big ironing boards to iron your mouse clothes. Well, look no further than Bookmark Boys. You can use them as a paddle if you're stuck in a boat in a river.
Small river.
Small. Everything must be done on a minute scale with them.
It's Bookmark Boys.
Bookmark Boys.
Cool. Follow them on Instagram
and Twitter.
They're on Twitter?
I don't know.
I don't think they're on Twitter.
Well,
I don't think Bookmark Boys are tweeting out that much. Maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
We should know because we are their sponsors.
Who are we to judge?
But we love Bookmark Boys. And we're always trying to send out good energy.
We're always trying to bring the bookmark noise.
Yeah.
You can even buy bookmark toys.
I've already made that rhyme. It doesn't really.
They'll bring you bookmark joys. Last podcast, I discussed my excitement for seeing James Bond.
Yeah, which was quite sweet of you, actually.
No Time to Die.
Because we were certainly when we were at uni, we were much more cynical.
Cynical moviegoers.
Yeah. And thought a lot more shit, but now that we're part of the machine a bit more, you kind of you give in to.
We need to relax it after a long day nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I was excited, and I was greeted with poo on the screen. It was awful.
Poo on the screen.
Poo on the screen. It might as well have been that. Yeah. Now I'm going to caveat my review.
Please.
I was very drunk.
How drunk?
Not mad drunk, but. Drunk enough, so I went out to get, about halfway through the film, I went out to get some beers.
Yeah.
I went to get 4 beers.
So how long were you gone for? Because were they selling them in the...
No, I was only gone for 5 minutes.
Okay.
It was nice and close,
okay.
And there wouldn't be a queue because most people were in. But I went to get 4, there was only 2 of us, and they said no. So I don't know...
They said no?
They said no, you can only have 2, you can only have the amount that you were there with, and I was like, but there's 4 of us. And then she was like, no. I was like, all right. And then I felt ashamed, so I didn't want to. I wanted to make her believe that there was 4 of us.
Even though there wasn't.
Even though there
so
wasn't.
You felt really wronged by her.
So I went, okay, well, I guess I'll just have to send the other 2 out then.
That's a hilariously catty little move.
And took my 2 beers. But at that point that I got up to go get them, I've realised, especially after you've been just like staring at the screen for ages, I then realised, I am a bit loopy.
Yeah.
And a lot of my critique of Bond is I couldn't understand what was happening.
Because you were fucking pissed.
So I do want to watch it again. Just to double check. But no, I'm confident in this. It started strong. And then got progressively more confusing. Right, no, there's some...
It started making you feel nauseous.
Yeah. And then maybe throw up at one point. No. The start is great. I was like, shit, they're about to bend some hecking genres in there. We're about to genre bend the picture.
Once again, you're straddling the seat, facing the other
I'm wearing this blanket in there. I'm saying all of this.
You're facing the back wall.
I'm saying... Whoa.
You're looking at where the projection's coming through.
I was high.
You know it's on that little glass bit in front of it. You're watching that like, whoa.
I was high on some hard drugs.
It's a weird coping mechanism. Andrew goes to see pop culture events
high on hard drugs and then complains about them afterwards. No, so it started off hella tight, bros. We had some real bro time on it.
Did that open with bro time?
No. No, I was just broing out. I was like, yeah, this is going to be some film.
You said this out loud.
Everything I'm saying to you now, I was saying as the film unfolded. Every single thing. Too loudly. It was it was the day it opened. It was a packed cinema. There were some fuckheads there in tuxes.
Oh my God. Fucking lose.
Kind of ruined because as we know, I was pretty excited about it, and I went.
You're dressed like this,
and I'm dressed like this. Oh, was it meant to be fancy dress? This is just my Friday evening wear. So that ruined the start, but that ruined when you're in the lobby before you go in,
which is a big part.
It's a big part. It's a massive part because you want to maintain that excitement, and then. Everything that happened to me, that viewing slowly chipped away into my excitement until I felt very, very bleak inside. Because there's nothing like being really excited for a film and it just be shit in the cinema. Just like walking out and wow, that was bad. That's exactly my words, is what I said. Start was great. I was like, yeah, bro's gonna bend some genres up in this bitch because it was kind of like horror. There were horror tropes coming in. I was like, okay, I haven't seen that in Bond. I haven't seen proper home invasion horror. That's how it starts.
Okay,
really good.
That's great.
Really good shit.
Get out my house.
Get out my house.
The genre. It added to the get out my house.
And then
the home invasion or get out my house genre. Get out my ass.
Get out my ass. So started well. I was hella vibing.
I'm hella vibing.
No, I said I am hella vibe. Yeah, no, that's what you just said. Moving on, the title sequence then comes up. We all know that I like the Bond theme song. We all know. I've spoken about this
at length,
literally a week ago.
The whole episode was titled about it.
I was oddly specific and forceful about discussing it. Now that came on. It was the usual Bond title credits, which are fun. They're enjoyable.
I rewatched Casino Royale, the only truly, truly good Bond film. Worst Bond title credits I've ever seen. And I do think there's an inverse relationship between quality of Bond song / title credits and quality of the film. So the better the song and opening credits, the worse the film.
Yeah, potentially. I'll have to do some more research.
It's honestly the trashiest thing, Casino Royale.
Space. Then, suddenly everything becomes quite blurry. I'm not saying I can't remember the film. I can. There are essentially Bond, No Time to Die. Too many characters, too many plots, too many adversaries, too many women, not enough time, on key things.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to watch No Time to Die and you hadn't, apparently you have to rewatch Spectre,
which famously one of the worst.
One of the worst ones ever, and they just mention it off the cuff so much, and it's a key part of the plot. It's people from Spectre, and I was like, well, I can't remember anything because it was shit. So then, Rami Malek is the bad guy.
How was his performance?
Yeah, fine. All right. But we don't really get to... He doesn't really... Like, you hear about... I guess no spoilers, but it doesn't matter because there's no film to spoil.
Yeah.
Hey-oh. So...
You just high-fived yourself.
Correct, yeah. Because I couldn't be bothered to reach across to you. But it deserved the high five. So there's like the main bad thing that's going to happen. There's always like, there's a weapon out, and that could change the world. Everyone will die.
Yeah.
You don't really get to like that battle until 2 hours into the film.
Yeah.
Rami plays a pretty quiet role, but the only way he's drip fed in is by like Bond's relationship with another woman who it turns out she's linked to, and it's basically this person's linked. It felt like they were trying to get everyone who's been involved with Daniel Craig's Bond involved in the last film, which is why it's 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Really? So it's kind of like Dave Chappelle's The Closer, in the way that Dave Chappelle was trying to wrap up all the ideas he discussed
incoherently. Ana de Armas is only in it for like 10 minutes. That's like a big... I was like...
You were really...
What's that?
You must have been absolutely livid.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was like...
Did he have sex with her?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm glad.
Yeah, because it's new Bond.
This is new Bond. New Bond, yeah. No, he's not.
Now
he's
he just
like
learns from them.
No, so because I'm not going to give spoilers because I'm sure many people, but
I plan to watch it.
Yeah, it's just convoluted. You want a key storyline going through that you like Casino Royale. It's very clear what's happening. There's a mission that he has to complete. There's so much. They literally wheel out Christoph Waltz. The definition of wheeling him out.
Does he catch?
He gets wheeled out, and then he gets wheeled back in. It is hilarious. He literally gets wheeled out. Doesn't he gives a key thing that
does it feel like he'd been left where he was wheeled out from
Absolutely.
Since the last film?
Yes, in the makeup, in the thing he has. They literally wheeled him out. And it's a very tough thing in the cinema when you're realizing, through drunkenness or not, that you're starting to lose interest in what's happening on the screen, and you realize you've got like an hour left.
Yeah,
and it just never got there. There's a big twist at the end, which most Bond fans are livid about. Okay. I've been on the forums.
Yeah, I thought it's got pretty good reviews though.
I believe there's a conspiracy.
Yeah,
and I'm going to take a sip of my Irish coffee before I go into that. The conspiracy is thus: we have been hit. The cinema industry has been hit particularly hard by COVID and everything. Namaste. Peace be with you, and also with you. But so I think there's a bit of a military-industrial complex going on with journalism and cinemas, as in film. Peter Bradshaw. He's entrenched in the industry.
So Peter Bradshaw, he's somehow got one of the top jobs in film criticism in this country. He's the Guardian film reviewer. If there's ever a big British release, always 5 stars. He gave Scepter, whatever it is, Scepter.
Skepta.
Yeah,
Skepta.
What's the film before?
Skepta. It was a bit of a weird direction for Bond, but Bond tackles the grime. Spectre.
He gave that 5 stars.
Yeah.
He gave him this 5 stars.
He
gave all of the fucking... Look. Every Harry Potter, I think he's given 5 stars.
Well, that deserves it.
There's something else. I've always been shocked with anything that's like a big release.
So I just swallowed and I could suddenly hear everything. You were a lot quieter for the whole of the show. Have I been speaking really loudly?
No, I've had the headphones in, so it's weird for me as well.
Yeah. So there's definitely, because we all know that loads of films pay and basically bribe, but then it can be indirect bribes, like taking critics out for dinner and stuff for awards.
So like a nice steak dinner.
Exactly.
Would you? I'm not sure. I'd need some fat cash if I was going to give out 5 stars.
You need some fucks.
I wouldn't give out 5 stars for one nice evening.
No. But we all know that happens. That kind of stuff, and it must happen in journalism reviews and shit. And I believe that But I think it was more less insidious, more of everyone got together in the film industry, including the critics, and going, this can be an absolute cash cow, and the cinemas fucking need it right now.
We need bums on seats.
We need bums on seats. And that can be, I think, who doesn't need bums on seats at all times? No matter what field you're in, other than rollerblade companies.
Yeah, or anything active.
Yeah. So I reckon there was a bit of a give it 5 stars, get chumps like me. I feel lied to by...
He doesn't like his job.
I don't like
He's not happy.
I pay good money.
That you've earned.
I like films. There are plenty of good films coming out, but Bond will be a fun, first big one to go back to. It'll be packed cinema. It will be like the In-Betweeners movie.
We're never getting that back, Drew.
We're never getting
that back.
I'm so upset.
Did I go with you to that? No.
No, I went with
you and Martha didn't you?
After I'd had a sports massage that made me throw up.
You're very proud of yourself.
Very proud. Well, no, I'm not happy.
No, but yeah, it's true. I don't know few are more kind of collective cinematic experiences than the In-Betweeners too.
Everyone feels that.
Yeah.
Everyone brings up the In-Betweeners movie.
Yeah.
And how it was just the most amazing cinema experience ever.
Because we're all laughing together.
It was hilarious. Yeah. Funniest film I've ever watched. Even though it's not.
It's not. You're watching it back on your own.
It's not at all.
No.
It's terrible.
Still watch it regularly though.
Oh, once a week. Just to remind myself. But no, so I feel lied to. I feel the reviews were doctored. I feel the books were cooked. And they brought me into that cinema to make me watch poo.
How much did you pay for the tickets?
It wasn't that much, actually.
How much?
£8.
That's pretty good.
Very good. For the opening day of Bond.
Yeah, that's very good.
People are wearing tuxes, bruh.
Yeah.
But disappointing. I would love to know what you hear. My number is 07786. I've already given out my email. Yeah. Just email me. You all know my email by now. A couple of people have emailed me, actually.
You have been emailed before.
Yeah.
I had to bleep out when you said our school on the last episode. I just didn't want that constantly out there.
Oh, God, yeah.
Can you stop?
It's just funny. I like the bleep.
I'm not bleeping it because it takes.
Well, you have to bleep our address.
No, because I'd cut this whole bit out.
No, you can't cut it out.
Yeah, I can cut it out.
It's good content.
It's not good content.
Well, you're going to cut out my whole James Bond review because I said our address at the end.
Bleep the whole thing. So Instagram and Facebook went down.
What are your opinions on that?
I was hoping that you'd have some opinions on it. You suggested that we talk about it.
What do you think?
Because I actually don't have... I have an opinion on everything. I don't have anything particularly... Because it showed how much we as a society rely on... I already knew that.
What do you think was the reason for it?
That's interesting.
Comedy one. Like a funny one.
That is some of the worst podcasts I've ever seen.
Look, I've wheeled myself up.
That is some of the worst podcasts.
I've been watching heist films for the last 3 days. I've spoken to very few people. If you think about it, I've been in the living room by myself for 3 days.
What's the reason for the Facebook thing, do you think, that make it funny? But a funny one. Because Mark Zuckerberg got really insecure that about his face.
Right.
I wanted to get rid of anything that had face in it.
I said a funny one.
I don't know.
Boom. Still got it.
Mark Zuckerberg
was
playing with his dog.
Yeah. Thought you were going to go somewhere else with that, yeah.
Fine. Mark Zuckerberg was playing with his knob. I was trying to avoid the easy accents. He was playing with his knob. And Mark Zuckerberg, he's bored, all right? He's been on top for ages. It's no longer fun. He's playing with his knob. And what he's got in his office, which is, he's been warned against.
It's weird that he has it in there.
A giant red button.
It's really big.
A big red button that if you hit it, everything he owns goes down for 5 hours. He's been told multiple times that he shouldn't have a giant...
shouldn't have it there.
He shouldn't have a giant red button.
And he says, no, just in case. You never know.
In case of what,
You never know.
In case of what?
Predict the unpredictable.
That's why I'm up here.
That's
and
why
because his results are so good, you can't argue it. The giant red button, that one hit, everything goes down.
Everything.
So he's
Instagram,
playing with
Facebook, WhatsApp. An app I'd never heard of that also went down, which is apparently bought by Facebook.
Which one?
What? Wiser?
So he's playing with his knob, and he's got it erect.
The dog thing would work better for that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but keep going.
Yeah, he's playing with his knob, and he's just...
Oh, so he's not wanking, he's literally playing like... He's getting an intern to throw a tennis ball and seeing if he can hit it.
He's got bored of that. They've got bored of that. They've complained to HR. He's still playing with his knob. He's now trying to see. He's now trying to see how many people he can fire via email via just using his knob.
Yeah.
See if he can officially fire as many people as possible, and he does that, and he hits the giant red button in the middle of the table that he's been leaning over to try and bash the keyboard, because the keyboard is really far away from the chair, and in between it is the giant... him working every day in his office, he has to reach round the red button like this every day.
So then, how does he hit the button with his knob?
Because... Well, actually, he doesn't get it with his knob. He's trying to type out this email with his thing, and he gets up on his knee while he's leaning over.
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, that adds up.
So, yeah. Do you have anything else to say about the outage? What did you do during the big blackout? I mean, I did genuinely thought it was out for 5 hours. I genuinely was refreshing my Instagram for 4 hours. Not for 4, but I mean, 4 hours of it, I just kept checking it every now and again, and I thought it was happening to me.
I knew you did. I looked it up within 30 seconds.
I was like, this is clearly because of my comedy's too dangerous.
Yeah. Or that you've been banned.
Yeah.
We did just post something as well, didn't we? One of the sketches.
Yeah.
So.
And we'd already, it was a repost. So
maybe it was the meat.
The meat
meat lobbyers.
Yeah.
Big meat. Maybe it was Big Meat that took us down.
Well, it was Mark Zuckerberg's Big Meat.
Oh! Ah! One of my favourite.
I don't know if this has been a good episode. I feel it's been good. I can't tell. When you're in this mood.
How the fuck should I know?
I've no clue.
I can't remember the last 5 minutes. I have no idea what happened.
Have you been drinking? Or have you just been ill?
I'm ill as shit. I have no idea what's happening. Well, you know, I feel better today, but you know when you're in that phase of just, I don't know what's happening.
Because this is going to be me soon.
Yeah.
Which is
well, I hope so. I mean, like, I'm over the depressed, everything feels terrible. I'm now more, I don't really know. I don't know what's happening. So usually there's some sort of, you know when you have a thought and you think about whether you're going to say it or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not there, whatever.
The Pandora Papers you wanted to talk about.
That is not a time to talk about that. Well, we haven't got it. We've run out of time. Thanks for listening. We've been Boys Gone Wild. Illest motherfuckers alive.
Thank you very much. Remember to sub to the Patreon.
Sub to that Ron.
Keep it swanky, and most importantly, keep it swaif. Also, we got our first bit of fan art in, which I think fan art's inherently funny.
Yeah, unless you just paint him. Why are you not painting me?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a nice little...
No, it was good.
It was good. So,
but we want worse efforts. It's not about it being representative of reality.
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little disappointed how it was like a pretty good graphic representation, and it was a bit too artistically interesting. Can we have more shit fan art, please?
I want, like, really bad fan art, because that's the stuff is funny to post about. Just like Stickmen.
Well, Stickmen are two people said I still quite like that it's graphic. It's just because then it's funnier if those are the really funny ones. That is when it's like
it seems like a sincere attempt.
It seems like a sincere attempt. So
by someone with very few skills.
So please send in as much fan art as possible. We're big fans.
We want like different.
We also want kind of like erotic fan fiction style fan art. You know, like imagining us in different scenarios. You know,
absolutely.
Giant knobs, fencing.
Yeah,
fencing with our giant knobs.
One of the two.
What about both? Or no?
No, let's keep it separate. Don't mix business.
Fencing or having giant knobs. Fencing with small knobs, or not fencing with big knobs.
Yes.
That's what we'd like from fan fiction.
I still want us on a horse. I don't know why.
Well, both of us, same horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With our knobs out.
Maybe I feel like a bit hysterical, and I think maybe I'm getting in as well. Because I'm going to look back at this, and it's one of those episodes where I don't know if it's still going to be like, it might be like, we might just be fucking insane people. Because we're quite experienced broadcasters. We've been doing this for years now. We've actually done a lot of broadcasts.
A lot of hours. A hell of a lot of hours. Because when
we've got out of tough situations, we can improv an hour. We're skilled broadcasters.
We're skilled, but when it comes to, when one of us has come down with a cold,
I really can't tell if this is absolute bilge.
I think this was iconic, and I say that from
iconic. We're king.
Because a lot of it looks like I've been wearing like a tunic, and I don't think you can underestimate the comedy capability
Tunic Factor.
That Tunic Factor. They're just missing something. What is it?
That's it. He's got it. The Tunic Factor.
Now that X Factor's leaving our screens.
The Tunic Factor.
Yes.
He's got the Tunic Factor. And no one catches on that the people getting through are people who are wearing tunics. So it's the same thing. Everyone's coming out. And only people getting through are people who wear tunics. No one's picked up.
No one's worked it out. Well, other than those in tunics. Because how often have you seen...
No, they've worked it out. But it's a surprisingly small percentage.
Surprisingly small. But they go through the same preamble of like going through someone's backstory. If, I don't know, one of their dogs died at a young age.
And one of them sings amazingly, not wearing a tunic.
Sorry, mate. We've got a golden buzzer.
What, for as soon as someone's wearing a tunic?
Yeah.
So someone comes out wearing a tunic.
You're in the final. Because they got it. They understood
but there's some people where it's like, is that a tunic?
Well, that's the joy of Tunic Factor. It's our job as your humble hosts and judges to discern.
Are we Anton Deck or Simon Cowell and that lot?
Well, let's just do both.
What, both?
Yeah.
So we introduce them and then run down.
Correct.
So we're interviewing them in the wings.
Yeah, what's so hard to understand?
So we're hosting it, and then we run down when they start.
Yeah. We don't run for anybody.
we
walk and they have to awkwardly wait on stage for a bit. And the crowd are just standing in front of thousands of people.
We're getting tired though, because we've been doing this all day as well. Just walking up and down. And then what happens?
And then we go, hi, what's your name? Regardless of if they're wearing a tunic or not. Hi, what's your name? Steve.
Hi, Steve.
How old are you?
25.
Oh, what do you do?
I'm a welder.
Oh, that's interesting and niche. What do you weld?
I weld
cut to the backstory bit, and it's you in one of those
masks. You are not alone.
And then
the light will shine.
And it turns out you accidentally welded two co-workers' hands together.
For better.
No,
even though you get worse.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to.
Yeah, I know.
So the sad story is you've welded your knob to a plank of iron.
No,
is that what you're saying?
I said he's accidentally welded two of his co-workers' hands together. They're waiting in the wings.
Yeah, when I was 21 years old, there was a horrible accident where I accidentally welded two of my co-workers together.
They're not the one. The victims are the one competing. It's the guy who welded them together.
That must have been awful.
And they're in the stands cheering him on, clapping together with their other hands. And then,
that must have been awful. And then as hosts, we were like, that must have been awful.
That must have been horrendous, yeah. And then it cuts back to us on as a judge. So what are you going to do?
Not cut back. Doesn't cut back. It watches us.
watches us walk.
Real time.
Walk down. Pretending like we're meeting them for the first time.
You hear mumbled small talk. Do you know what's in the canteen?
No, I'm not sure. I think might have been calamari. I think, that's all right.
Squid always makes you feel weird, yeah.
Anyway, what are you going to do? And then we say, what are you going to do for us today? And he goes, I'm going to juggle. Because unlike the two people's hands I welded together, I can still juggle. But it's not two people who have got conjoined hands juggling. It's just the guy who welded them together juggling. He then gets out his batons. And then we say, right off you go. He gets out his batons and we both hit red crosses because he's not wearing a tunic. And that's it.
I don't know if I'm starting to hallucinate because I feel like the illness has happened more during this podcast episode. But I think that might be on the... Don't fucking vomit in my room.
Because I've got a blocked nose, I went to laugh and then I had liquid in my mouth, but I couldn't laugh out my nose.
God, fuck. All right. Thank you for listening. We were meant to end the episode about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but when you have an idea like that...
like Tunic Factor. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.